Hello and welcome to Smart IQ online classes. This is Venkatesh B. Patil. Today I am going to discuss in the polity series very important topic, the fundamental duties. The fundamental duties. So what are the agenda for the today classes? First, what are the fundamental duties? Constitutional position of the fundamental duties, committees related to fundamental duties, and also the features or characteristics of the fundamental duties, that is fundamental duties, and list of the fundamental duties and the criticism related to the fundamental duties. Okay, these are the concepts are discussed in very detailed manner today session. So first look at what are the fundamental duties all about. The fundamental duties are defined as the moral obligations of all citizens to help promote a spirit of the patriotism and uphold the unity of India. Okay, the fundamental duties is nothing but it is related to the patriotism of the citizen of the country. That is also uphold the unity of the India. Okay, unity of India. It is related to the patriotism of the citizen of the country. Okay, these duties are set in the 4th A of the Indian Constitution. Okay, the fundamental duties are these enumerated in the 4th A of the Indian Constitution. 4th A of the Indian Constitution. After that is first part is related to the name of the Union and its territories. Second part is related to the citizenship. Third part is related to the fundamental rights. Fourth part is related to the directive principle of state policy, and 4th A, okay, it is a subdivision of that is fundamental DPSP, that is 4th A is related to the fundamental duties. The 4th A is the fundamental duties are enumerated in the Indian Constitution under part 4th of the Indian Constitution. They are held by the Supreme Court to obligatory to all citizens. Okay, it is mandatory to follow the all citizens of the country, held by that is Supreme Court of India. Okay. So then fundamental duties are included in the Constitution by the 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act of the 1976. Originally, the original Indian Constitution does not have a fundamental duties. After the emergency, okay, after the national emergency takes place in the India, that is in the period of Indira Gandhi. That time, the government of India to plan to insert a fundamental duties in the Indian Constitution through the 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act of the 1976. Very, very important. Originally, the Indian Constitution does not have a fundamental duties. Only they have, that is a fundamental rights and directive principle of state policy. Not for the that is fundamental duties. After the 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act of the 1976, the fundamental duties are added in the Indian Constitution. Okay. It is incorporated in the fundamental duties inserting the new article 51A. Okay, so that is part 1A article is that is Union and Territories. Part 2 the citizenship, that is 5 to 11. 1 to 4 is name of the Union and Territories. Part 2 that is citizenship of India, that is 5 to 11. Third part article 12 to 35. Fourth part that is directive principle of state policy, article 36 to 51. But the fourth part A is, sorry, that is a 4th A DPSP. 4th A is related to the fundamental duties. Article is, that is 51A. Only one article is there. That is a 51A is related to the fundamental duties of the Indian Constitution. That is below the article 15. Okay, 51. That is. Okay, article 51 is related to the directive principle of state policy, which belongs to the part 4th A, that is related to fundamental duties of the Indian Constitution. The recommendations were passed in the 1976. Okay, originally in the 1976, the government of India make one of the important committee, that is called Sardar Swaran Singh Committee. Sardar Swaran Singh Committee. Okay, to appoint to points out that is fundamental duties of the country. That's the reason in 1976 the Sardar Swaran Singh Committee is appointed to the government of India to formulation of the fundamental duties in the Indian Constitution. That is, it is effect come into picture in, that is in 3rd January 1977. Okay, the fundamental duties are enforced in the Indian Constitution, that is 3rd January 1977. Okay, this is the enforcement of the fundamental duties on 3rd January 1977. ಅಂದ್ರೆ 3ನೇ ಜನವರಿ 1977ರಂದು ಈ ಮೂಲಭೂತ ಕರ್ತವ್ಯಗಳನ್ನು ಭಾರತದ ಸಂವಿಧಾನದಲ್ಲಿ ಅಳವಡಿಸಿಕೊಂಡು ಅದನ್ನು ಜಾರಿಗೆ ತರಲಾಯಿತು. So originally there are 10 in number. Okay, originally there are 10 number. Okay, original constitution aware there are 10 fundamental duties are there. The fundamental duties are increased to 11 by the 86th Constitutional Amendment Act of the 2002. Originally constitution means through 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act of the 1976 on the recommendation of the Sardar Swaran Singh Committee, make it, that is a 10 fundamental duties in the Indian Constitution under the 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act of the 1976. After the 86th Constitutional Amendment Act of the 2002 added one more fundamental duties in the Indian Constitution. Okay, presently there are 11 fundamental duties are there. Presently in the Indian Constitution there are 11 fundamental duties are there. So these duties were meant to bring our constitution in line with the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and the Constitution of Japan, China and USSR. Okay, so the implementation of the fundamental duties in the Indian Constitution, it is declared to the Universal Declaration of the Human Rights. Okay, that is Human Rights Commission is there in Indian. Okay, Human Rights Commission. Okay, this is a non-constitutional body in the Indian Constitution related to it is to protect the violation of the human rights in the country. But in the Universal Declaration of the Human Rights, there in the Indian Constitution, it is statutory body. It is not a it is a non-constitutional body. Okay, it is a non-constitutional body, but it is applicable to the implementation of the fundamental duties of the Indian Constitution. These are also adopted, that is Japan, China and USSR. Okay, the fundamental duties also adopted the Japan, China and USSR. So it was adopted based on the recommendation of the Sardar Swaran Singh Committee. Okay, these fundamental duties are recommended by the Sardar Swaran Singh Committee. Okay, this is very important for APT. Okay, that is for recommendation of the fundamental duties are given by the Sardar Swaran Singh Committee in the 1976. Okay, so look at the Sardar Swaran Committee. The Sardar Swaran Singh Committee was constituted in the Government of India earlier in the 1976. The objective of this committee was to study the questions of amending the Constitution in the light of past experiences faced with the Constitution. Okay, in the 1975 there is a emergency takes place in the India, national emergency takes place in the India. That time the peoples cannot do their duties regarding the country. That's the reason the Government of India think to formulate or to implement the fundamental duties in the Indian through the Indian Constitution of the fundamental duties of the country. That's the reason in the 1976 the Sardar Swaran Singh Committee was appointed by the Government of India. That is main reason is to that is the light part because of the Indian Government of India faces there is a bad experience in the before the, that is after the implementation, that is after the taking place of the national emergency in the country. The committee was constituted by Indira Gandhi. Okay, soon after emergency was imposed in the country. Okay, this committee was constituted by the Prime Minister, that is Indira Gandhi. Okay, she is the first woman Prime Minister of India. Okay, she is the first woman Prime Minister of India. Okay, also she is the first woman Defense Minister of the India also. Okay, that is she is Indira Gandhi. The 42nd Amendment Act, which is also called the mini constitution. Okay, this concept I already explained in the fundamental rights okay topic. So again I will explain briefly why the 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act of 1976 is termed as the mini constitution of India. Okay, so because in this amendment in the 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act of 1976 made the number of amendments, that's the reason that is also called the mini constitution of India. Okay, there are number of provisions are there in the it is came through the 42nd Amendment Act of the 1976. That is the reason it is also called the mini constitution of India. Because of amended the many articles, even the preamble was also handled through the 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act of the 1972, so 76, the result of the recommendation of this committee, that is Sardar Swaran committee. So there are 10 fundamental duties in the constitution were also added as per the recommendation of the Sardar Swaran Singh committee. Okay, the Sardar Swaran Singh committee is recommended that there are 10 fundamental duties to the Constitution of India. Okay, India. What is the inspiration for the adaptation of the fundamental duties to the Indian Constitution? The inspiration of the part 4th A was the Constitution of the USSR. Okay, USSR is nothing but that is United States of Soviet Russia. Okay, presently that is a Russia. Before this is the one of the United is there. Presently there is a only called Russia. Okay, what is the inspiration for the Indian fundamental duties? That is the USSR Constitution. That is presently Russian Constitution. That is fundamental duties are borrowed from the Russian Constitution. So it is because USSR Constitution directs the law, maintenance or labor discipline and honesty should be observed in the performance of the public duties and also direct to respect the rules of the socialist community. Okay, so because of most of the Indian in freedom struggle, most of the Indian leaders are inspired by the Russian socialistic principles, especially our Nehru. Okay, Nehru is a lot of love towards the Russia as well as their principles of socialistic in nature. That is the reason Indian economist follows the mixed economy. Okay, Indian economy is based on the mixed economy. That is public plus private economy. Is also called that is social as well as capitalist economy. Okay, socialist is nothing, its major purpose is to making welfare of the state, and capitalist economy's major purpose is to making more profits. That is okay. Nehru's most of the intention is to towards the socialist economy, that is under the Russian Constitution. So it is because of the USSR Constitution directs the law, maintenance, labor discipline, very very important, and honesty should be observed in the performance of the public duties. Okay, not for the only for the richer peoples. All peoples are belongs to in the socialist economy. A major role is to in the hands of the peoples, public. That is the welfare of the state. That is the reason the fundamental duties are borrowed from the Russian Constitution, and also it is affect the socialist community towards the country. The United States of Soviet Russia Constitution in this way emphasizes more on the citizens. Okay, more on the citizens. The duties, citizen duty, and imposes upon the people some definite duties towards the society and state. Okay, these duties are these duties means the USSR constitutional fundamental duties are very related to the citizens of the country. That is the reason Indian Constitution borrowed from the USSR's fundamental duties provisions to the Indian Constitution. Such fundamental duties are not seen in the constitution of any democratic country like USA, Australia, Canada, among other democratic constitution of the world, except the Japan. Japan is a democratic country, is adopted the fundamental duties for the citizens of that country. We find mentions of the certain duties of the citizens similar to that present in our constitution. Okay, only except the democratic country like Japan, there is no other democratic country cannot had the fundamental duties in their constitution. For example, like USA is the one of the largest democracy in the world. Australia also a democratic country. Canada also a democratic country, but they cannot apply. They cannot enact the fundamental duties in their constitution. Only except Japan. Okay, Japan is a democratic country like India. Is adopted a fundamental duties in there for the citizens of the country as well as India. Okay. This is because means in all these countries the citizens are imbibed with a high sense of patriotism as a result of education, training of elementary duties and obligation of the citizens. The fundamental duties main purpose is to work towards the patriotism of the citizens of the country towards the result of the education, training in the elementary duties and obligation of their particular citizenship of the country. That is the reason fundamental duties are very important for the particular country for their citizens. In contrast of this, it is generally argued that in India people may emphasis only on rights, and it is often criticized that Indians know only rights but not duties. Okay, but particularly taken India, Indian peoples only argue only for the it is for the rights, not for the duties. Indian peoples only towards the optimistic towards the rights, not for the duties. Okay, that is a contrast to be there. But you have to take the rights, you have to must and should give the duties to the country. You have to towards the patriotism of the country. This was primarily the reason as to why the fundamental duties were incorporated in the Constitution 1976 as per some experts. That's the reason in the citizenship of the country, rights as well as fundamental duties are very important for the protection of the public assets, public property. So look into the duties of the fundamental duties. Okay, fundamental duties of the fundamental duties. Okay, the fundamental duties. So originally there are 10 fundamental duties are for the recommendation of the Sardar Swaran Singh committee in the 82nd Constitutional Amendment Act of 2002 added one more fundamental duties are there. At presently there are 11 fundamental duties are there. ಸೊ ಭಾರತ ಸಂವಿಧಾನದಲ್ಲಿ ಮೂಲತಃವಾಗಿ ಇಂದು 11 ಮೂಲಭೂತ ಕರ್ತವ್ಯಗಳನ್ನು ಹೊಂದಿರುವಂಥದ್ದು. ಸೊ ಫಂಡಮೆಂಟಲ್ ಡ್ಯೂಟೀಸ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿ ಈಸ್ ಎವ್ರಿ ಸಿಟಿಜನ್ಸ್. ಒನ್ ಮೋರ್ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್, the fundamental duties are only applicable to the citizens, not for the foreigners or aliens. Only for the citizens of the country. Okay, not for the foreigners or aliens. That is the reason the fundamental duties of every citizen of India according to the Constitution of India is that to abide by the Constitution and respect its ideals and institution, the national flag and national anthem. Particularly the citizen of a country we have to respect, we have to give the respect to the Constitution and respected ideal and institutions like national flag, national anthem. ಸೊ ಭಾರತ ಪ್ರಜೆ ಇರುವಂಥ ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಬ್ಬರು ಕೂಡ ಭಾರತದ ಸಂವಿಧಾನವನ್ನು, ಭಾರತದ ಧ್ವಜವನ್ನು, ಭಾರತದ ರಾಷ್ಟ್ರಗೀತೆಯನ್ನು ಗೌರವಿಸುವಂಥದ್ದನ್ನು ನಾವು ಕಾಣುವಂಥದ್ದು. ಅದು ಮೊದಲು ನಮ್ಮ ಕರ್ತವ್ಯ ಇರುವಂಥದ್ದು. ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಮೇನ್ ಡ್ಯೂಟಿ ಆಫ್ ದಿ ಎವ್ರಿ ಸಿಟಿಜನ್ಸ್ ಟು respect and to protect the national flag, national anthem and respect towards the Constitution and the ideal and institution of the particular country of the India. And second duty is to cherish and follow the noble ideals and which inspired from our national struggle for freedom. It's very important. Okay, to cherish and follow the noble ideals which inspired from our national struggle for freedom. Okay, in 1857 the number of Indian patriotism given their life to the for the freedom purposes. That is the reason these ideas, okay, that time also follow the secularism there, patrioting regarding the country okay, these some of the important ideals and okay, cherishes to follow from the national struggle for the freedom of the India. So third duty is to uphold and protect the sovereignty, unity and integrity of India. Anybody of the Indian citizen, you have to protect our country's sovereignty, unity and integrity of India. Okay, ಭಾರತ ಪ್ರಜೆಯಾಗಿರುವಂಥ ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಬ್ಬ ಪ್ರಜೆಯೂ ಕೂಡ ನಮ್ಮ ಭಾರತದ ಸಾರ್ವಭೌಮತ್ವವನ್ನು, ನಮ್ಮ ಏಕತೆಯನ್ನು ಮತ್ತು ಸಮಗ್ರತೆಯನ್ನು ಕಾಪಾಡುವಂಥದ್ದು ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಬ್ಬ ಪ್ರಜೆಯ ಮುಖ್ಯವಾದಂಥ ಕರ್ತವ್ಯ ಅನ್ನುವಂಥದ್ದು ನಾವು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕಾಣುವಂಥದ್ದು. Fourth duty is to defend the country and render national services when called upon to do so. Okay, for example, knowing that today one of the very biggest terror attack in the Jammu and Kashmir, that is Pulwama place. Okay, it's a place in the Jammu and Kashmir. There is a attack by the Jaish-e-Mohammed terrorist group to that is Pulwama. In the place there are more than 36 armies people are died. Okay, that's what is the fourth duty is to defend the country and render national services when called upon to do so. ಅಂದರೆ ದೇಶಕ್ಕೆ ಯಾವುದೇ ರೀತಿ ಅಪಾಯ ಅಂತ ಬಂದಂಥ ಸ್ಥಿತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಭಾರತೀಯರಾದಂಥ ನಾವು ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಬ್ಬರು ಆ ಒಂದು ಅಪಾಯದಿಂದ ಪಾರಾಗುವಂಥ ಕೆಲಸಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವೆಲ್ಲರೂ ವಾಲಂಟರಿ ಆಗಿದ್ದರೆ ಸ್ವಯಂ ಘೋಷಿತವಾಗಿ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಭಾಗವಹಿಸುವಂಥದ್ದನ್ನು ನಾವು 4ನೇ ಒಂದು ಮೂಲಭೂತ ಹಕ್ಕುಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಕಾಣುವಂಥದ್ದನ್ನು ಹೇಳ್ತೇವೆ. ಓಕೆ, ಟು ಡಿಪೆಂಡ್ ದ ಕಂಟ್ರಿ, ಓಕೆ, ಟು ನೆಸೆಸರಿ ಫಾರ್ ದ ಕಂಟ್ರೀಸ್ service to the in army or in protection of the country, that time the voluntary participator help in that process. And fifth duty, to promote harmony and the spirit of common brotherhood amongst all the people of India, transcending religious, linguistic and regional or sectional diversities, to renounce practices derogatory to the dignity of men. So this is very important for the every citizen of the country, to promote harmony and spirit of the common brotherhood amongst all people of India. Okay, transcending religious, linguistic, regional or sectional diversities, to renounce the practice derogatory to the dignity of women. Present, it's a very need for the country because of there is a communal violence. Okay, there is a communal violence, especially Hindu-Muslim. Okay, Hindu-Muslim. Okay, I think you go to the North India, most of the North Indian places, the very largest communal violence will be there compared to the South India. South India is better for there is a communal violence, but you go to the North India, there is a lot of communal violence between the Hindus and Muslims and especially Sikhs. Okay, that's the reason there is you have to brotherhood, sense of the common brotherhood. Okay, all are think that you are the brothers, or the good relations between there is other communities or caste, okay, other linguistic groups. That's the reason to promote the harmony and spirit of common brotherhood. Okay, there is a relationship between the brother sister relationship. Okay, that is amongst all people of India, transcending religious. Okay, there is a brotherhood between the religious community, Hindu Muslim, Hindu Sikh, Hindu Christianity Hindu Sikhs, like that. Okay, there is a religious brotherhood as well as linguistic brotherhoods. There is you go to the North India, there is most of people from India, Hindi speaking peoples are there. Okay, Hindi speaking people. You come to South India, there is a number of different linguistic groups, like in Karnataka, Kannada, in Tamil Nadu, that is a Telugu. In go to Andhra Pradesh as well as Telangana, that is a Telugu speaking people. You go to Maharashtra, that is Marwadi people, Marathi speaking people are there. So that is the reason you have to brotherhood relation between the linguistic groups as well as regional. Okay, there is a North India, South India. You are from Karnataka, I am from North Tamil Nadu. Okay, there is no regional conflict between that is a two states or more than two states. That is a also brotherhood between that is a regionality as well as sectional diversity. Okay, sectional diversity. That is the reason in Indian philosophy says that in the Sanskrit, that is a Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. Okay, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. What is the meaning of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam? It is says that the world is a single family. The world is a single family. All peoples are members of the family. That is the reason there is no dispute or conflict between the religion, linguistic group, regionality, sectional diversity. Okay, Indian philosophy talks about the unity in the diversity. Okay, India is one of the model to the diversities of the all over the world. That is the reason you have to brotherhood relation between the religious, linguistic, regional or sectional diversities, and also to renounce the practice derogatory to the dignity of men. This is a very important. But in Indian conscience, women are related to the God. Okay, woman is treated as a god. Sorry, goddess. Okay, that's the reason you have to respect the women and to protect their freedom and liberty of the particular women. That's the reason you have to renounce the practices derogatory to the dignity of women. Okay, recently so many laws came under the protection of women, especially. Okay, C is there. C, that is a sexual harassment in the working places. What is to restrict the sexual harassment in the working places is there. Okay, so many laws come under the come to the force regarding the to protect the dignity of the women. Okay, and the sixth duty is to value and preserve the rich heritage of our composite culture. This is also very important for the young peoples of the country, because young people are think that I see that so many young people is talks about their there is a negligence of the heritage of our country. Okay, that's the reason to value and preserve the rich heritage of our culture. For example, take in Taj Mahal. Okay, Taj Mahal is a very biggest, okay, one of the largest monument in the India regarding so one of the rich heritage of our country to what is to propagate the love towards their husband Shah Jahan and Mumtaz. Okay, so many like Gol Gumbaj, Red Fort, Qutub Minar. Okay, these are the important historical monuments. That is the rich heritage of our country. That's the reason you have to protect our culture. For example, so in AP, that is our classical dance of the AP is Kuchipudi. In Karnataka, there is a Yakshagana. Okay, Yakshagana. In Kerala, there is a Kathakali. So okay, the different classical dances of the particular states. That's the reason to value and preserve the heritage of our composite cultures, traditions, okay, cultures, etc. And the seventh duty is to protect and improve the natural environment, and including the forests, lakes, rivers, wildlife, and to have a compassion for living creatures. This is also very important. Okay, so to protect and improve our natural environment. Environment is very important. You have to save the environment to save our people, our living beings. Okay, you have to save the environment. That time environment save the yours. That's the reason you have to must and should to protect and improve the natural environment, including the forest. Okay, nowadays there is a degradation of the forest, and there is a deforestation will be there because of the construction of the dams and the construction of the infrastructure, industries. That's the reason there is a clearing of the forest. That's the reason you have to protect our forest. For example, the good example is Salu Marada Timmakka. You know that she is from Karnataka. Salu Marada Timmakka. Okay, she is one of the she is one of the environment protection in the Karnataka. Okay, she is growing a number of trees in especially in the district of Ramanagara. So she is one of the conservative of the forest in Karnataka. That's the reason Indian youth, especially youth, you have to conserve protect the forest as well as lakes. So lakes are one of the biggest sources for the fresh water. That's the reason you have to protect the lakes without water pollutions, and also protect the rivers of the country and wildlife. Okay, there is a present, you see that there is a human animal conflict will be there. Why it is happen? Because of there is a habitat loss of their wildlife. For example, take elephant. Elephant is one of the biggest nomadic animal. Okay, nomadic animal. There is a more space, especially in the South Karnataka. There is a lot of human-animal conflict is there because of there is a habitat loss. Some of the people are acquiring the forest lands as converted into the agricultural land. That's the reason those animals came into their fields and lost their crops. That's the reason you have to protect wildlife as well as to have a compassion towards compassion for the living creatures. You have to respect, you have to protect the living creatures. Even small insect also very important for our protection. There's a need for that is nature. That's the reason you have to compassion over the living organisms or living creatures of the nature, especially in the natural environment. And eighth duty is to develop the scientific temper, humanism, and spirit of inquiry and reform. This is also very important. Okay, so many people think that in especially India, there is a lot of people are to practice that is a superstitious methods. Okay, what is superstitious methods? There is no scientific temper in their practice. Okay, for example, in villages there is a concept of devil, something is there. Okay, that is to develop the scientific temper, logical thinking towards our practices, our traditions, our culture, and also humanism towards the humanity or the nature country. That is humanism towards the ನಾವು ಮಾನವರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾನವೀಯತೆಯಿಂದ ನೋಡುವಂಥದ್ದನ್ನು ನಾವು ಕಾಣುವಂಥದ್ದು, and also the spirit of inquiry and reform. And also this is also very important. I have to reform in every time, every day, and every minute. That's the reason very important. That is called to develop the scientific temper. Okay, whatever you do in the scientifically, okay, scientific thinking, without knowing, there is a superstitious mind, and also humanism and the spirit of inquiry and reform towards your activities. And ninth duty is to safeguard the public property and adjure violence. So this is very, very important. Okay, why it's happened? Because of that in Article 19 it talks about the right to freedom of movement, right to freedom of movement, but not right to strike is not a fundamental right. Okay, it is not a legal right or fundamental right, it is a violation of the Indian Constitution. That's the reason right to freedom of movement. Okay, Article 19 in the fundamental rights talks about the right to freedom of movement with the tranquility, means peacefully, without arming. Okay, so here also, so anybody can against the government, you have to free to movement against the government, but without loss the public property. For example, in the so many movements I will see that, okay, now in movement people are destroy the government buses, government vehicles, government buildings, government properties. That's the reason it's also to destroy yourself our country's assets. That's the reason it's a violation of the Indian Constitution. That's the reason right to freedom of movement with peacefully, not for the violence or destroy in nature. That's the reason to safeguard public property. For example, public property, road, road, railways, that's other buses, vehicles, and also to observe the violence. Okay, to observe the violence. Without violence you can make a movement. Without violence, without cruelty in there your movement. Without the violence you have to make movement freely. That is Article 19 talks. It is a fundamental rights. That is a right to freedom of movement. That's the reason the duty says that every citizen of the country to safeguard the public property and to observe the violence. Okay, there is no violence in your movement. And also 10th duty talks about the to strive towards excellence in all sphere of the individual and collective activity, so that nation constantly rises to higher levels of endeavor and achievement. So okay, this is very, very important. And I will recently see listening this related one of the jokes. In America, so one of the competition will be there, that is in the box, that is a crab will be put there. Okay, number of countries are participating in that competition. For example, take UK, US and China. So this is India. Okay, some other countries are participating in this competition. That is related to the crabs competitive competition. So all countries crabs are put in the one of the box. Okay, one of the box. All boxes are open to the their sockets. There is no socket of that box, but Indian box will be fitted with the sockets. People are asking that why you have to put in the socket of their pocket. The Indian people are saying that Indian people cannot help to the other people going towards the front of open to the box. That's the reason mindset of the Indians. That's the reason to strive towards the excellence in all sphere of the individual as well as group achievements. The collective activity is more important for our achievement of the country. Not only individual as well as the collective achievement is very, very important, so that nation ಕಾನ್ಸ್ಟೆಂಟ್ಲಿ ರೈಸಸ್ ಟು ಹೈಯರ್ ಲೆವೆಲ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿ ಎಂಡವರ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಅಚೀವ್ಮೆಂಟ್. ಅಂದರೆ ಒಂದು ದೇಶವನ್ನು ಮುಂದುವರಿಸಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಒಬ್ಬ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿಗೆ ಅಂದರೆ ಒಬ್ಬ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿಗಿಂತ ಸಾಧ್ಯವಾಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ, ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಅಂದರೆ ಆ ಗುಂಪುಗಾರಿಕೆಯಿಂದ ನಾವೇನಾದರೂ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಆದ್ದರಿಂದ ನಾವು ಒಂದು ಏನೇ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾದ್ರೂ ಕೂಡ ಅದನ್ನು ಗುಂಪುಗಾರಿಕೆಯಿಂದ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಿ ಒಂದು ದೇಶದ ಪ್ರಗತಿಯನ್ನು ಕಾಣುವುದರಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಅದನ್ನು ಪ್ರಯತ್ನ ಮಾಡುವಂಥದ್ದನ್ನು ಈ 10ನೇ ಒಂದು ಮೂಲಭೂತ ಕರ್ತವ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳುವಂಥದ್ದು. ಸೊ ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಡ್ಯೂಟಿ 11th ಡ್ಯೂಟಿ, ಹೂ ಈಸ್ ಅ ಪೇರೆಂಟ್ ಆರ್ ಎ ಗಾರ್ಡಿಯನ್ ಟು ಪ್ರೊವೈಡ್ opportunities for education to his child, or as the case may be, what between the age of 6 to 14 years. So this is also very, very important. This is added through the 82nd Constitutional Amendment Act of the 2002. That is the 11th duty, who is a parent or a guardian to provide opportunities for education to his child, or as the case may be, what between the age of 6 to 14 years. So ಅಂದರೆ ಇದು 6ರಿಂದ 14 ವರ್ಷದ ಮಕ್ಕಳಿಗೆ ಯಾವುದೇ ಒಬ್ಬ ತಂದೆ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು ಅದರ ಪೋಷಕರಾಗಿರ್ಬೋದು ಆ ಮಕ್ಕಳಿಗೆ ಕಡ್ಡಾಯವಾಗಿ ಶಿಕ್ಷಣವನ್ನು ಕೊಡಿಸುವಂಥ ಒಂದು ಶಿಕ್ಷಣದ ಒಂದು ಅವಶ್ಯಕತೆಯನ್ನು ಕೊಡಿಸುವಂಥದ್ದು ಕೂಡ ಈ ಒಂದು ಮೂಲಭೂತ ಹಕ್ಕುಗಳಲ್ಲಿ 11ನೇ ಮೂಲಭೂತ ಹಕ್ಕಲ್ಲಿ ಕಾಣುವಂಥದ್ದು. ದಟ್ ಇಸ್ ದ ರೀಸನ್ ಹೂ ಇಸ್ ಎ ಪೇರೆಂಟ್ ಆರ್ ಗಾರ್ಡಿಯನ್ ಟು ಪ್ರೊವೈಡ್ ದ to mandatory to provide the opportunities for education to his child, as the case may be, that is a what between the 6 to 14 years. Okay, these are the important 11 duties of the fundamental duties in the Indian Constitution. Next, look at the what are the importance of these duties. ಹಾಗಾದ್ರೆ ಈ ಮೂಲಭೂತ ಹಕ್ಕುಗಳ ಮಹತ್ವ ಏನು ಅಂತಂದಾಗ, the fundamental duties constitute a constant reminder to the citizens that they have duties in building of free, egalitarian, healthy and responsible society. So very important. Okay, this is the one of the importance of the fundamental duties. So ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಮೂಲಭೂತ ಕರ್ತವ್ಯಗಳ ಮೂಲಕ ಆ ದೇಶದ ಪ್ರಜೆಯ ಸಮಾನತೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ಅದರ ಆರೋಗ್ಯಯುತ ಒಂದು ಜವಾಬ್ದಾರಿಯುತ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿಯನ್ನಾಗಿ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಆಗುವಂಥದ್ದು. ಓಕೆ, the fundamental duties make a citizen has a free, egalitarian, healthy and responsible society. Okay, that is a responsible society towards the citizens of the country. And next importance is these are expected to act as a damper of reckless and anti-social activities on the part of the some individuals. So these are expected to damper of reckless and anti-social activities on the part of the some individuals. It is to protect the some anti-social activities as well as the damper to reckless of the some individuals of the country. Okay, it is to curb the anti-social activities in the country, because of every citizen have a duty to protect the public government's public's assets and property. And next is India is being a multi-racial, multi-religious nation can prosper only when the citizens of this country respect its integrity and promotes cultural harmony by doing their duties as a citizen of the nation. For example, taken first duty talks about to respect our national anthem, national flag and constitution, because there is a no particular, it's not only talks about only for the Hindus, not for only for the Muslims. Okay, it's tell to the, it is all duty of the person to citizen of the country to protect and respect the all peoples, not only Hindu, not only Muslim, not only Christianity, but all religions, all multi-religious peoples are to respect towards the constitution, their national flag, national anthem. That's the reason India being the multi-racial means the number of religious communities are there, like Hindu, Muslim, Christian, partiality, and multi-religions are there, and for the can prosper only when citizens of this country respect its integrity and promotes the cultural harmony. Okay, India has a different cultural peoples are there, cultural sects are there. There is no difference between the cultural differences is there. That is the reason you have to brotherhood towards our religion, section diversity. That is by doing their duties of as a citizen of the nation. So next importance, environmental pollution has become a great cause of the concern. So these duties remind us keep our environment free from the pollutants. Okay, this is also very importance for the promoting the fundamental duties. Every citizen of the country to mandatory to protect our environment, and because of nowadays know that there is a increase of the global warming, that is also increases of that is a carbon emission. You know that in Delhi is the world's highest polluted city. Okay, Delhi is the world's highest polluted city is there. That's the reason every citizen of the country you mandate to protect our environmental pollution. Okay, and also that you have to less uses of the plastics. That's the reason in 2018 the theme of the World Environment Day. Okay, that is celebrated every year June 5 by the organization called United Nations Environment Program. That is theme is beat the plastic pollution. In 2018 World Environment Day celebrated in India. That is the theme is beat the plastic pollution. That's the reason every citizen of the country to mandate to protect our environmental pollution, free from the environmental pollution, this is the great cause of the concern for the future generation. That is the reason in the most of the institutions adopted one of the method called sustainable development. So very important concept, that is a sustainable development. Okay, what is mean by sustainable development? So anybody can use our resources of the country without with consent the future generation also. Okay, that's the reason you have to must and should protect the pollution environment, like lakes, rivers, forests, etc. That's the reason the environmental pollution has become a great cause of concern. These duties remind us to keep our environment free from the pollutants. Okay, and also the inclusion of providing opportunity for education. So very important. Okay, the inclusion of the providing the opportunity for education for children between the age of 16 to 14 years as a fundamental duty is a big step towards the safeguard of human rights and abolition of the social injustice. Okay, fundamental duties providing for the opportunities of the every child should be educated. Okay, there is no otherwise that child become the social injustice, facing a social injustice and violation of their human rights. That's the reason the inclusion of the providing opportunity for education of children as a fundamental duty is a big step towards the safeguard and human rights and abolition of the social injustice. Okay, these are the importance of the fundamental duties. Another concept is non-enforceable and non-justiciable nature. Okay, the fundamental duties are non-enforceable and non-justiciable nature. Already explained in the there is a non-justiciable nature and non-enforceable by the court of law. Okay, so here there are three kinds of fundamental rights: directive principle of state policy and fundamental duties. Look at the difference here. The fundamental rights, directive principle of state policy, fundamental duties. What is the difference between these three concepts? The fundamental duties are enumerated in the part 3rd of the Indian Constitution. Directive principle of state policy is enumerated in the part 4th of the Indian Constitution. The fundamental duties are enumerated in the part 4th A of the Indian Constitution. Okay, so these are the difference between the fundamental rights, directive principle of state policy and fundamental duties. So next difference is the fundamental rights are justiciable in nature. Okay, the fundamental rights are justiciable in nature. Okay, justiciable in nature. So what is meant by justiciable nature? Anybody can violate your fundamental right. You directly go to the Supreme Court under Article 32, High Court under Article 226. Clear? What is meant by justiciable nature? Anybody can violate your fundamental rights. You directly move to the Supreme Court under Article 32, High Court under Article 226. But DPSPs are non-justiciable in nature. Okay, directive principle of state policies are non-justiciable in nature. Means anybody can violate the directive principle of state policy. You cannot go to the Supreme Court for their violation or High Court for their violation. There is no legal enforceable by the Court of Supreme Court or High Court of India. That is the reason these are the non-justiciable as well as non-enforceable of the nature. Here fundamental duties are also non-justiciable nature and non-enforceable by the violation of their duties by the courts. Here the directive principle of state policy and fundamental duties are non-enforceable as well as non-justiciable nature. So very important. Except fundamental rights, DPSP and fundamental duties are similar concern for the non-enforceable as well as non-justiciable nature for their violation of the rights and duties. So okay, so this is the major difference between the fundamental rights, directive principle of state policy and fundamental duties. As per the as the state offers the citizens of fundamental rights, it is the fundamental duty of each citizen of India to further national integration and contribute towards the better society. Means the Constitution says that the fundamental rights, directive principle of state policy and the fundamental duties makes there is a national integration towards the better society of the country. Okay, these are very helpful for the national integration of the India. And also, so there is a major difference between the fundamental rights and fundamental duties, that is a non-justiciable nature and justiciable nature. So unlike fundamental rights, fundamental duties are non-justiciable nature. Okay, already I said that directive principle of state policy and fundamental duties are non-justiciable nature, but fundamental duties are rights are the justiciable nature and enforceable for the violation of the Court of India, like Supreme Court or High Courts, not for the fundamental duties and directive principle of state policies. This means that no one can be punished in case of their violation or non-compliance of any fundamental duty. Okay, I said that already. Anybody can violate the fundamental duties. Okay, you cannot protect the environment, anybody cannot be punished by the court or high court or Supreme Court. That's the reason. This means that no one can be punished in the case of their violation or non-compliance of any fundamental right duty. Okay, ಅಂದರೆ ಯಾವುದೇ ಒಬ್ಬ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿ ಭಾರತದ ಪ್ರಜೆ ಮೂಲಭೂತ ಕರ್ತವ್ಯಗಳನ್ನು ಪಾಲನೆ ಮಾಡದ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ ಅಥವಾ ಅದರಗಳನ್ನು ಉಲ್ಲಂಘನೆ ಮಾಡಿದ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ ಆತನ ಯಾವುದೇ ರೀತಿಯಾದ ಶಿಕ್ಷೆಯನ್ನು ಕೊಡುವುದಿಲ್ಲ. ಯಾವುದೇ ಕೋರ್ಟ್ ಕೂಡ ಆತನಿಗೆ ಶಿಕ್ಷೆಯನ್ನು ವಿಧಿಸುವಂಥದ್ದನ್ನು ನಾವು ಕಾಣುವುದಿಲ್ಲ. ಈ ಫಂಡಮೆಂಟಲ್ ಮೂಲಭೂತ ಕರ್ತವ್ಯ ಕಾಣುವಂಥದ್ದು. ಹಾಗೆ similarly these duties are non-enforceable in nature. So means there is a violation in the fundamental duties cannot enforceable by the court of laws. That is, no court can or any government body can directly enforce any of these duties on particular citizen legally. Okay, there is no legal enforcement regarding the fundamental duties as well as directive principle of state policies. So, but if the state makes law to prohibit any acts or conduct in violation of any of these duties, the court would uphold that is the reasonable restrictions on the relevant fundamental duty. Okay, duty, not right, fundamental duty. ಹಾಗಾದರೆ ಒಂದು ರಾಜ್ಯ ಸರ್ಕಾರಗಳು ಅಥವಾ ಕೇಂದ್ರ ಸರ್ಕಾರಗಳು ಪರ್ಟಿಕ್ಯುಲರ್ ಆಗಿ ಯಾವುದೇ ಒಂದು ಲಾ ಮಾಡಿದ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ ಆ ಲಾಗಳನ್ನು ಅಂದರೆ ಆ ಲಾಗಳು ಇಟ್ಸ್ ರಿಲೇಟೆಡ್ ಟು ದಿ ಫಂಡಮೆಂಟಲ್ ಡ್ಯೂಟೀಸ್ ಆರ್ DPSP. ಅಂತ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಂದರೆ ಸರ್ಕಾರಗಳು ಆ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿಯ ಮೇಲೆ ಆ ಪ್ರಜೆಯ ಮೇಲೆ ಯಾವುದೇ ಕಾನೂನು ನಿಯಮಗಳನ್ನು ಹೇರುವಂಥದ್ದನ್ನು ನಾವು ಕಾಣುವಂಥದ್ದು. ದಟ್ಸ್ ದ ರೀಸನ್. But if the state makes a law prohibit any act or conduct any violation of any of the duties, the courts would uphold that reasonable restrictions is there. Okay, that's very important. There is a reasonable restriction towards the fundamental duties. That time there is a action to be taken by the governments or the courts of the law. That's on the relevant of the fundamental duty. For instance, a person who burns our national flag, okay, anybody can burn our national flag in violation of the duty in Article 51A, they cannot assert that it was a burned by way of the demonstration against the government. Should be protected by the freedom of expression of right also. Okay, there is a conflict between the Article 19 and 51A. Okay, here says that the right to freedom of expression is there, but here there is a duty is that you protect your country's property. Okay, your country's property. There is a dispute between the fundamental rights as well as the direct fundamental duties. There is says that, for instance, a person who burns our national park, okay, in the fundamental duties there you have to respect you protect our national flag, national anthem, constitution and their institutions. But here the person who burns our national flag in violation of the duty, okay, this is the violation of the fundamental duties of the country in Article 51, but cannot assert that it was burnt by way of the demonstration against the government, should be protected by the freedom of expression in the right, that is under Article 19 of the fundamental rights. So in this respect, fundamental duties are similar that of the directive principles stood in the Constitution in the 1949. Okay, in this respect the fundamental duties are similar to the, okay, here the fundamental duties are similar to the directive principle of state policy. Okay, both are non-enforceable and non-justiciable in nature. That's the reason both are similar to the directive principle in the stood of the Constitution Act of the 1949. Okay, that day 1949 November 26, okay, the Constitution adopted by the ourselves. That's the day. That day is celebrated as Indian Constitution Day. ಭಾರತ ಸಂವಿಧಾನ ದಿನವನ್ನಾಗಿ ನವೆಂಬರ್ 26, 1949 ನಾವು ಆಚರಣೆ ಮಾಡುವಂಥದ್ದನ್ನು ಕಾಣುವಂಥದ್ದು. And also the directive principles lay down some high ideals to be followed by the states, whereas fundamental duties lay high ideals for the citizens. Okay, here one more difference is there, that is in fundamental duties and directive principle of state policy. So both are non-justiciable in nature. Okay, this is a similar towards the fundamental duties as well as directive principle of state policy. But in the one of the difference is there, the fundamental duties it is for the citizens. The fundamental duties it is ideal for the citizens, but DPSP, directive principle of state policy, it is towards the states, government. Okay, the fundamental duties is the highest ideal for the citizens of the country, but directive principle of state policy is the ideals for the state or government of Karnataka, government of the state or government of central government. Okay, it's one of the important difference between the fundamental rights and fundamental duties and directive principle of state policy. The fundamental duties is ideal for the citizens. Directive principle of state policy is ideal for the state or government of state or central government. Here too, in both cases, violation does not invite any punishment. Anybody can violate the fundamental duties as well as directive principle of state policy. There is no punishment, but rather than the not for the fundamental rights. Anybody can violate the fundamental rights. The person can be punished by the court of law, but not there in the fundamental duties as well as directive principle of state policy. Some reasonable restrictions. Okay, some reasonable restriction is there. Some of the utility and significance of the fundamental duties. Okay, utility and significance of the fundamental duties. The section fundamental duties. Okay, section part 4th A of the Indian Constitution, that is talks about the related to the fundamental duties, was not part of original Constitution. Okay, original Constitution. Okay, in the original Constitution there is no fundamental duties. After the 1976, there is a recommendation of the committee called Sardar Swaran Committee recommended 10 fundamental duties. That's the reason 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act of the 1976 to added these fundamental duties in the Indian Constitution. Okay, original Constitution does not have a fundamental duties. So these were added in the Constitution much later. Okay, that is Constitution came into force in 1950. What is added in the 1976, 77. Much later after the enforcement of the Indian Constitution. The idea behind the incorporation of the fundamental duties was to remind the citizens of the country that they have a certain obligation toward the country and society. The fundamental why it is inserted in the Indian Constitution, because it is to remind the duties of the every citizen of the country. You have to do some duties towards the country. That is to remind by these fundamental duties in the Indian Constitution, part 4th A of the Indian Constitution, article 51A. Okay, 51A. Three more important items in the list of the fundamental rights. Okay, there are most important items are there in the fundamental duties. What are the three important items? That is, so those requiring the citizens to respect the ideals of the Constitution and institutions it establishes. Okay, the duty 1. Okay, 51 article 51A of the 1 clause is that says that you have to any of the citizen of the country, you have to respect the ideals of the Constitution and the institutions and ideals related to the respect the national anthem and national flags. And also second important item is to promote the harmony and spirit of common brotherhood amongst all the people. Okay, like religious, linguistic, cultural, different. Okay, India is a diversity, unity in the diversity. India is a unity in the diversity. Unity in the diversity. That's the reason to promote the harmony and spirit of the common brotherhood in the different religions, different linguistic, different caste, different cultural peoples amongst all the peoples, and professing different religions, speaking different languages, and etc. So that's the reason you have to brotherhood regarding these aspects. And third important item is to safeguard the public property and abjure violence. These are the very important items in the fundamental duties to safeguard the public property. Okay, anybody can strike against a government of India or state government. You cannot destroy the public property like buses, vehicles, and government buildings. And also you cannot violate the peoples and killing the peoples and killing the to cruelty towards the humanity. That's the reason you have to abjure the violence as well as public safeguard or protect the public property. So these are the three important items are there in the fundamental duties of the Indian Constitution. So what are the significance of the fundamental duties? Okay, so it is very important for your mains examination, mains as well as sometimes asking preliminary exam also. So you have to focus as well as in the sense of mains as well as preliminary examination. What are the significance of these? These are the remind of the citizens. Okay, these are the remind to the citizens of the country to conscious of their duties while enjoying their rights. It means say that citizen of the country, citizen of India, okay, you have to taking your particular individual rights, you also follow the, you have to respect the your duties. Okay, you are taking the particular individual rights regarding the government of India, state government, you also you have to follow. Okay, that is your duty. Here right is very important, also duty is also very important for the particular individual of the citizens, and also serve as a warning against the anti-national and anti-social activists. So anybody can violate the anti-social, violate their national institutions, national ideals. That's the reason every citizen of the country ought to protect brotherhood relation regarding the, or protect the our nationality, our sovereignty, our integrity and unity of the nation. That's the reason it is to curb or the warning against the anti-social elements. Okay, like creation of the terrorist and militancy groups, and also anti-social activities like so killing of the peoples and bomb blasting. These are the anti-social activities. It is to war against the, okay, the fundamental duties are war against the, so these activities like anti-national and anti-social activities. And also these fundamental duties serves as a source of the inspiration for the citizens and promote sense of a discipline and commitment. It's very important. Okay, the fundamental duties serves as a source of the inspiration for the citizens and promote a sense of discipline for my duty towards the country, duty towards the my state, and commitment towards the my particular duty. Okay, I save the trees, I protect the environment. These are the some commitment towards the citizen of the country, and they create a feeling that citizens are active participants in the realization of the national goals. This is also very important. Okay, this is one of the important significance of the fundamental duties. Anybody of the citizen of the country to create a feeling that towards the patriotism towards the country, and citizens are active participants. Okay, for example, today I am not going to make any pollution in the public places. This is my duty. Okay, that is the active participation in the cleaning of the our country or places. That is the reason they create feeling that citizens are active participants in the realization of the national goals. Okay, national goals. And also they help the fundamental duties to help the courts in examining and determining the constitutional validity of law. Okay, so these are too useful for the courts of the law for protecting our country, protecting our public property, and towards the duties of the particular citizen of the country. These are the fundamental duties, very significant for our country, as well as some of the experts, some of the political experts, some political expert and constitutional expert criticize our fundamental duties. Okay, there is the first criticism is said that the list of duties are not exhaustive. Okay, it does not cover other important duties like casting votes, paying taxes, family planning. Okay, some of the experts, constitutional expert or political expert, criticize our fundamental duties. These are not a exhaustive in nature because the fundamental duty does not cover the important duties like the casting vote. Okay, right to vote is not under the right to vote. Okay, right to vote or right to casting vote is not our fundamental duty, not mentioned in the fundamental duties. And also paying taxes, there is no compulsory for paying the taxes, is not mentioned in the fundamental duties of the Indian Constitution. And also family planning is not there in the our fundamental duty list. Okay, that's the reason the list of the duties, fundamental duties, is not exhaustive. And also another criticism, some of the duties are vague, ambiguous and difficult to understand by the common man. Okay, some of the duties are vague, means there is no clear cut towards their duties, and ambiguous and difficult to understand by the common man. Okay, for example, to protect our heritage and culture, there is but common man cannot understand what is heritage, culture, what is our culture, traditions. Okay, since they are non-justiciable nature, they have been described by the critics as a code of moral guidelines. The Swaran Singh committee had a suggestion for the penalty or punishment for the non-performance of the fundamental duties. In the recommendation of the Swaran Singh committee is recommended that there is a punishment for the violation of the fundamental duties. But this duty is not mentioned in the original what is in the fundamental duties. That is the reason, because they are non-justiciable nature. Anybody can violate the fundamental duties, cannot move to the Supreme Court or the High Court. They have described as the critics as these are the code of moral guidelines, only for the guidance for the people, not for it's mandatory. That's the reason The Sardar Swaran Singh Committee had a suggestion for the penalty or punishment for the non-performance of the fundamental duties of the citizens. Okay, this recommendation not mentioned in the fundamental duties of list. So another criticism is the list of duties are not exhaustive. Okay, repeated. So this is about the fundamental duties. It's a very important topic for your both preliminary and mains examination. Today I will discuss in the what are the fundamental rights, what is the meaning of the fundamental rights, and list of the fundamental rights, what are the significance of the fundamental rights, and committee related to the Sardar Swaran Singh Committee related to the fundamental duties. And it is originally originally the constitution does not have a fundamental duties, but is added through the 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act of the 1976 as well as 82 Constitutional Amendment Act of the 2002. So, okay, so and also see the criticism regarding the fundamental duties. Okay, this is about the fundamental duties. Thank you once again. All the best.